Hi, I'm Sharmini. I am a veterinarian with a master's in applied animal behavior and animal welfare. I went into the area of wildlife and specifically welfare because that's just been a passion of mine. I've always wanted to do wildlife work. The wildlife situation in Malaysia currently is fairly poor in the sense that people either keep wild pets or the wild animals kept in captivity are not of the best situation. We have to always remember that wild animals deserve to be in the wild. It's a very complicated situation, very complex condition that they live in. And when we keep them in captivity, we have to mimic that exact same situation. One of the most interesting experience for me was while working in a rescue center in Indonesia. We were given a very, very young baby monkey. And we had dealt with many monkeys before, but not one as small as this. And they're usually kept by people. It was very interesting to bring up this monkey in a way where it would survive, but at the same time not depend on us. So we came up with a lot of creative ideas to just make sure that this monkey was getting its nutrition and it was getting its milk. One of the things we did was we had many stuffed animals because we have to keep cleaning it, and a big bottle of water. We would heat the bottle of water, stuff it into the animal, the stuffed toy, and then use that for the baby to hold on to. So that kind of acted as a surrogate mother, and we would feed it milk at the side. So it was kind of nursing from the teddy bear. And the reason we did this was because we didn't want it to be attached to us. And that way, when we release it, when it goes through the process of rehabilitation and gets released later on, the process will be a lot simpler. One of the things that people tend to think is that we treat animals differently than people, but that's actually not the case, because sometimes they will treat a child very well, or a new grandchild in the house, is treated as very importantly, but then they neglect the dog. And dogs, for example, need a very, very basic thing. They need their walks, or they need their food on time. So actually, sometimes the way you treat your animal reflects very strongly on how you treat your fellow human being. Euthanasia can be one of the toughest things to do, but always having to bear in mind the reason behind the euthanasia. It's not just when an animal is extremely sick, or when an animal is in a situation where it's not leading life to its fullest. For example, a dog with really bad hip dysplasia, basically a hip problem or a joint problem, where it's dragging its feet or every step is painful. To an owner, the dog is healthy and it's alive, and the vets are cruel to be putting it down. But we always look at the flip side of it, that the dog is not, dogs want to basically run around. And if it doesn't have a good quality of life, then the question is, then do we then humanely put it down? And that's always, and has always still been very difficult for me. I'm not an advocate for euthanasia, but I think in some situations it's definitely necessary. Small things matter. Whenever you see something, for example, in a pet shop, voice out. They may not do anything there and then, but it's very important. If you see a puppy in a pet shop that has no blanket, puppies are meant to live in a group. They're not meant to live in a sterile environment as you see in pet shops. That's a good way. Talk to the pet shop owner and mention this to them. Remember that one person makes a difference, because if you, listening to this message, go out and mention this to the pet owner, there may be many other people who do the same thing, and maybe we might be able to change that puppy's environment in the pet shop.